Hello and welcome to another episode of That Sports Guys podcast. I am Craig Forrestall. You might know me from Twitter as at that_sports_guy. But today it is all about Army Black Knights All-American linebacker Jon Rhattigan. John, what's going on with you?
Hey, Craig. Thank you for having me on.
Hey, anytime. I'm excited to get to know you. As I mentioned a little bit beforehand, I actually went to college where you grew up, Naperville, Illinois. But John, for those that don't know what it's like, tell us what it's like growing up in Naperville.
Well, it's a great spot to grow up, and it's about an hour southwest of Chicago. Certainly, a lot of opportunities for a guy like me, just an athletic kid growing up, and went to a big high school in Equal Valley with a lot of diversity, and so I was able to meet all different kinds of people. Naperville, Illinois, it's a great suburb of Chicago.
And you come from a football family. Your brother TJ played at Penn State. Your brother Joe played at Princeton. Talk about what it's like growing up in a football family and how competitive do those backyard games get?
Yeah, they got competitive, and I was the youngest, so I always got the short end of the straw. They were fun. I mean, growing up, I think competitiveness is it's a huge, it's something you got to have growing up in this world, and especially being a football player. Having both my older brothers, that's been my motivation throughout my career, and not just in football, but in life. So I'm very thankful to have them, and the success that they had has really motivated me and pushed me to become who I am today.
John, you also played lacrosse in high school. Can you talk about all the different sports you played growing up?
I tried just about everything. Football and lacrosse was in high school, basketball in middle school, baseball until I started playing lacrosse around fifth, sixth grade. In the summers, me and my friends, we would play tennis, soccer, pick up basketball, what have you, anything and everything. Always trying to be outdoors. And I think the more sports you play, the more comfortable you feel in your body and the more you can do when you start focusing on a specific sport. So everything that I kind of did growing up really helped me to develop as a football player and an athlete.
And now let's fast forward a little bit. What was the recruiting process like for you?
It was stressful. My junior year, I tore my ACL week 2 against Naperville Central, and that kind of delayed. That put a big pause in recruiting. Obviously, your junior year is a pretty important year, and so I worked hard, and I did everything that I could to have a successful senior year. And thankfully, when the time came, and I was talking to teams and coaches that had come through the high school, in the off season. I was able to send them my film periodically throughout the season, had a really good senior year. And, ultimately that's when, I started getting offers, and it really came down to Army and Princeton and Ball State. So 3 very different schools, all for various different reasons, but ultimately I chose Army, and I'm very happy with that.
And now, can you discuss the transition you experienced going from civilian teenage life in the Chicago suburbs to life at the academy?
Yeah, certainly it's a unique transition, and I didn't have too many friends around me doing the same thing. I had a really good friend that went to Montini, and he's at the Naval Academy right now. He's one of their starting safeties, Mitch West, and it was a transition to say the least, but it's definitely made me a better person, and everything the academy has to offer, I was on board. And so being motivated and staying committed even when times are tough, I think that was the biggest thing that helped me, and really made me appreciate the process.
Now, John, can you talk about the culture of the football program and what it means to play for Coach Jeff Monken?
Yeah, there's a great culture in our program, and I think that's what I'm most proud of, regardless of how my career personally would have panned out. I think being in that locker room, being with the guys that I'm surrounded by, getting coached by everyone on staff and just being around the program, there's something really special there. And I knew that throughout recruiting. And that's kind of what drew me to Army a lot is Coach Monken and what he had going at West Point. So, you stack the academics and the tradition and all the great things that West Point has to offer on top of football and Coach Monken and where he was leading the program. Obviously, this past season, 9-3 CIC champs. And we've had a lot of success in my time there. So very thankful just to be a part of the program. And there's a lot of it's a great culture. It's a winning culture. And that's what Coach Monken has certainly brought to the table.
And for those of our listeners that are not familiar with the CIC champs that was referenced by Jon Rhattigan, that is the Commander-in-Chief Championship, which is something that is awarded between the service academies. And now, John, you had to wait to get your turn to start. Talk about why it was important for you to stay and not transfer to a place where you could have played sooner.
And that's a tough decision, I think, for everyone. You see a lot of names in the transfer portal in college football right now. So when the time came to really affirm to the United States Military Academy and the Army after my first 2 years there, and in terms of football, things weren't really looking up. Still, grinding, had my head down, doing the best that I can to find myself on the field. It was a tough decision, but at the same time, it wasn't, because I knew where I wanted to be. I had committed to this in high school, and that's exactly what I was going to do. I wasn't going to quit, even when things got tough. And ultimately, I'm very proud of my decision to stay. And as hard as it can be on an individual, that's what we aren't at Army. It's a team, and I was going to stay there for the guys around me and everyone else that was going through hard times just like me.
And then we moved to this season, and in 11 games this season, you tallied 78 total tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, 2 interceptions, and one of those being a pick 6. Can you give us a self-scouting report on your overall game, John?
Yeah, I think overall, I'm a multi-dimensional linebacker. I'm not, I'm not only focused on one area. I'm not a guy that, you kind of worry about at certain spots of the field. I can make plays all over the field, and I can defend the run. I can defend the pass. I think I'm athletic enough to do one-on-one coverages, and ultimately I can play all over the field. That's really the bottom line.
And now you've received an invite to the Hula Ball. The Hula Bowl. Can you talk about what it means to be recognized by the event?
It means a lot, and I'm very appreciative of the invite. And obviously, it's a great opportunity to go showcase my talent in Hawaii. So I'm really looking forward to that, and just to be recognized for the year that I had and the year that our team had is certainly something I'm very proud of.
And then, John, let's go ahead and discuss your short-term and long-term football goals. What are your short-term and long-term football goals?
Well, short term right now, I'm going to do my best, and I'm working hard right now to pursue the NFL. So, just trying to make it, and hopefully get drafted at least late, and that's the goal right now, is to get drafted in the NFL. And long term is to have a career in the NFL. Stay longer than 4 years. 3 to 4 years, I believe, is the average an NFL player stays in the league. And I think, ultimately that's what I want to do, is stay longer than the average, because I'm not an average guy, and I don't plan to be an average football player. So I want to make it, and I want to do well.
And now, John, we've spent a good amount of time getting to know you as a football player, but I have a handful of questions set up for you to take us away from the game. You ready for those?
Yeah, I'm ready. I got you.
All right. So we mentioned that you're a Chicago guy. First one, who has the best deep dish pizza in Chicago?
Lou Malnati's, no doubt.
You find a time machine and you can either go back 2,500 years and be king of a large country, or fast forward 1,500 years and live on a different planet. What's your choice?
I'm I'm a fan of Earth, so I'm gonna have to go back and rule the country.
What is the most interesting or memorable college class that you took?
Um, being a fan of Earth, geography of North America. My major's in the geography department, so I've always been really interested in those classes. And as basic as it sounds, it was a very interesting class that taught you a lot about the origins of North America as a whole. So Canada, the United States, and Mexico. And I really learned a lot more than I thought I would going into the class. So anything that exceeds expectations like that is always fun.
What's the motto that you live by?
One of my favorite quotes, and this goes back to when you mentioned, waiting your turn and the possibility of transferring back when things were tough, is when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And that's a quote that's always stuck with me through hard times, and not just hard times long term, but short term, right? You're going through a hard workout and you want to quit, and you're getting tired, but when the going gets tough, the tough get going.
And now the last one that I have for you. If you were stuck on an island and could pick your weapon and survival partner, what would your choices be?
First guy that comes to mind for survival partner is probably Nolan Cockrell. He's a D lineman for us, big nose guard, number 95, great football player, great friend, teammate, brother. That's a guy that if I had to be stuck on an island, I'd want to be with Nolan, because I know I could depend on him. And survival weapon, I'd probably let Nolan pick, but if I had to choose, I would go with maybe a fishing pole.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Army All-American linebacker Jon Rhattigan. Once again, pay attention to him as he worked towards his goal of being drafted late in this year's upcoming draft. And like he said, he's pushing to be more than the average football player. He gets a chance to showcase his abilities coming up in Hawaii at the Hula Bowl sometime very soon. So pay attention for Jon Rhattigan in the near future. Ladies and gentlemen, he's Jon Rhattigan. I'm Craig Forrestall. Until next time, stay safe and be easy.
Hey everybody, Craig Forrestall. Thanks for tuning in and listening to another episode of That Sports Guys podcast. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at that_sports_guy to catch all the latest updates and podcast episodes. Until next time, stay safe and be easy.